You ever notice how Trump talks about countries like they're companies? Like, seriously, he'll straight up say things like, "They owe us money," or "That was a bad deal." And he means it. It's not just a style. It's the worldview of a businessman who never stopped seeing the globe as one giant negotiation table. And once you realize that, everything starts to make sense. The aggressive tweets, the tariff battles, the praise for strong men, the revolving door of White House staff like one long season of The Apprentice Oval Office edition. In this video, we're stepping into that mindset. What happens when a businessman becomes president and treats geopolitics like corporate warfare and America like his personal brand?
It's going to be only America first. America first.
To understand Trump's presidency, you have to go back before the rallies, before the red hats to the boardrooms, TV sets, and golden penthouses. Trump didn't build a political career. He built a brand. And the cornerstone of that brand? A book, The Art of the Deal. Published in 1987, The Art of the Deal wasn't just a bestseller, it was his Bible, a manifesto.
It's always going to be the art of the deal. It's always going to be, you're going to pick up that book in 1,000 years. It's not going to change. It's going to be the same.
Half memoir, half business manual, and all bravado, it laid out Trump's worldview in bold font. Think big. Use leverage. Protect the downside, and the upside will take care of itself. And most importantly, the worst thing you can possibly do in a deal is seem desperate. Trump didn't just write it. He lived by it. Well, technically, he co-wrote it with journalist Tony Schwartz, but Trump took full credit, of course. And here's the wild part. When he ran for president nearly 30 years later, that book became more relevant than ever. Because Trump didn't walk into the White House with a traditional political ideology. He walked in with the same mindset he used in real estate, casinos, and reality TV. Life is a negotiation, power is perception, and everything, nations, policies, and even people is part of the deal. Let's start with where that mindset hit hardest. Trade.
Threats on trade.
And this time his sights are set.
So Donald Trump tends to fixate on things. Over the years, it's been showerheads, wind.
Right, we've got some breaking news for you. It's just come in. President Trump saying he wants a straight 50% tariff on the EU beginning.
For decades, China and the U.S. have had a complicated relationship. China became the world's factory, making tons of cheap goods Americans bought. Phones, clothes, electronics, while America bought way more from China than it sold to them. This created what's called a trade deficit. Trump saw this like a bad business deal. The U.S. was losing money. So in 2018, he slapped tariffs, basically taxes, on over $300 billion worth of Chinese imports. The goal was to pressure China to change its trade practices. These tariffs on imported goods were intended to increase the price of Chinese goods in the U.S. market and reduce imports. But it wasn't just economics. It shook global markets, led to retaliation from China, raised prices for some American consumers, and created uncertainty for businesses. Trump treated this like a negotiation tactic. Hit China hard, then talk. Back in the 2016 presidential campaign, immigration was already a big issue in America. But Trump took a different approach than most politicians. Instead of complicated plans or legal details, he made a simple, bold promise. We're going to build a wall on the southern border, and Mexico will pay for it.
And Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Because Mexico, I love the Mexican people, I respect the Mexican leaders, but the leaders are much sharper, smarter.
That promise wasn't just about immigration policy, it was a marketing move, like a catchy slogan designed to grab attention and build his brand. During the campaign, Trump kept repeating it because it was easy to understand and showed strength. But here's the reality. Mexico never agreed to pay for the wall. No deal was made, so why say it? This is classic Trump negotiation style straight from his book, The Art of the Deal. In business, especially in real estate, making a big, bold offer up front helps set the stage and gives you leverage. It's about controlling the narrative and making the other side respond. Trump's wall wasn't just a physical barrier. It became a symbol of toughness, control, and America winning again. That image helped rally his supporters and shape his presidency. Trump's approach wasn't just about enemies, it was about how he treated friends. NATO is a military alliance that started in 1949, right after World War II, to help keep peace and protect democracies from threats, especially from the old Soviet Union, now Russia. But here's the catch. Everyone in the group is supposed to spend at least 2% of their economy on military defense. Many countries weren't. When he got into office, he didn't look at NATO as a team of friends. He looked at it like a group project, where the US was doing all the work and others were just coasting. So, he started doing what a CEO would do. Publicly called out countries like Germany and Canada for not paying their fair share, threatened to pull US support unless others increased their spending. Even suggested America might not defend countries that didn't meet the 2% rule. To Trump, this wasn't about peacekeeping or shared values. It was about cost-benefit. If the US was paying, he wanted something back. That's not how diplomacy usually works, but it is how a business person thinks. And guess what? Some NATO countries did start spending more, but others felt insulted, and it shook their trust in America as a reliable ally. It was Trump doing what he always does: make them pay or walk away from the deal. Now that same mindset, fix the bad deal, showed up again with something closer to home: trade with Mexico and Canada. Back in the 1990s, the US signed a trade deal with Mexico and Canada called NAFTA. It was supposed to make buying and selling across borders easier by cutting taxes on imported goods. But over time, a lot of American jobs moved to Mexico, especially factory work. Wages were lower there, and companies wanted to save money. Trump hated that. He blamed NAFTA for hurting American workers. So when he ran for president in 2016, he promised to rip it up and make a better deal. And that's what he did. He brought both countries back to the negotiating table, demanded new terms, and renamed it the USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. What changed? New rules meant more auto parts had to be made in North America, especially in the US. Mexican workers in car factories had to be paid at least $16 per hour in some areas to stop jobs from leaving America just for cheaper labor. It also added new protections for US tech companies and farmers, especially with digital trade and dairy. Now, USMCA was praised by some labor unions, but experts say it wasn't a radical change. A lot of the structure from NAFTA stayed the same. But here's the key. Trump made it feel new. He treated it like a business contract, tore it up, rebranded it, and sold it as a win to his base. Just like a company rolling out version 2.0 of a product, even if it's not all that different. The message was clear. I fixed the deal. America's winning again. Now, here's a recent move from Trump that got a lot of attention. In 2025, Trump pushed a refugee program for white South African farmers, a group called Afrikaners, claiming they were victims of violence and land seizures in South Africa. Here's the backstory. South Africa has been trying to fix its painful past under apartheid, where white farmers owned most land and black South Africans were oppressed. The government started taking land from some white farmers to give back to black communities, a tough and controversial process. Some reports said white farmers were being attacked. Trump said, "We're stopping aid to South Africa, and we're opening our doors to these farmers as refugees." Usually refugees are people fleeing war or persecution, but Trump's move was special. He picked this group partly because it resonated with his political base and sent a clear message. From a business angle, it was like a targeted recruitment campaign. Who can bring value to our country? Not just who needs help. This move stirred controversy and strained relations with South Africa, but it's a clear example of Trump treating global issues like business opportunities, with political gains as part of the deal. But here's the thing: governments don't always work like businesses. And that's where it gets interesting. Trump saw allies differently than most presidents. Instead of teammates working together, he treated them more like clients. And in business, clients either pay up or they lose the service. He pushed allies, NATO, to increase their spending or risk losing U.S. support. It's similar to subscription billing: pay your fee or no service. The same approach showed up with foreign aid. Instead of giving help out of goodwill, Trump asked, "What's in it for us?" If there wasn't a clear benefit or return, he threatened to stop the aid. He even sent invoices to Japan and South Korea for the U.S. military protection they received, something not done before. That's client management: pay your share or lose the service. This approach raised questions among allies about how dependable U.S. support would be in a crisis. In this view, loyalty is conditional, based on what each side contributes. At home, Trump treated America like a brand, a symbol of strength and dominance, rather than just a nation based on laws and shared values. He often talked about winning and not being laughed at anymore. This led to bold actions, large rallies, and a focus on projecting a strong image. For instance, the North Korea summits were as much about the handshake and photo opportunities as they were about nuclear negotiations. These moments were meant to show strength and leadership in the present, even as long-term outcomes remained uncertain. Slogans like "Make America Great Again" and "America First" worked like branding taglines. They created a strong emotional connection with supporters, even if the policies behind them were complex. When you're selling a brand, how something feels can matter more than the fine details. This business-first approach to governing didn't just influence how Trump made decisions. It also shifted the way many people now see politics itself. Instead of viewing politics purely as public service or governance, more people began to see it as a series of deals, brand management, and negotiations. Whether this shift is good, bad, or simply a new reality is for each viewer to decide. What's clear is that Trump's presidency showed us a different way of playing the political game, one where business tactics meet the complex world of government. And that's a perspective that will continue to shape how politics is talked about